In the
Is there
participants list, it is
down?
there.
Okay. So participant listener, can you see that end call button, Tanpreet? Next to that end call button, na, there is one wo participants ka
For me,
white.
it is not coming. For me, it is leave. It is coming, and meeting details are there.
Tanpreet, at the lower screen, can you see participants different? You can see HE, HO, HE.
Yeah, no,
HE
actually,
is
something is added in this, so I'm adding it. Okay, I have pinned it.
You have pinned it, na?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think so everyone has done what we have requested them to go. So now we come to the most awaited part of our evening. Let's go.
Hi everybody. Welcome to the Catalyst Awards. So this is the third year that we're doing the Catalyst Awards, and unfortunately we had to do it this way, but we are glad we can at least do it virtually rather than not having it at all, because there are people who've done great work and we didn't want to postpone recognizing and doing their good work. So I'll give a little background of how did the Catalyst Awards come into the play and how did we have all the 4 categories that we have right now. Now we have various sub-functions. We have talent, we have marketing, we have accounts and finance. Now we have supply chain. Each of the functions has their own criteria of assessment of what would be considered as a good performance. So what we wanted to do as a part of the team for our core team was to make sure that we did something which cut across all the functions. At the same time, given that we are a service function, we also keep in the fact that we also have customer focus in our mind and the way that we operate. So as you know, all these 4 awards that we have, they're all cutting across all the functions. It is not specific to any particular function, and it also keeps in mind the real reason for our existence. So customer satisfaction, for example, of course, Prasenjit will talk a lot of details about each of them in detail, but customer satisfaction, mistakes, learnings, application, living the cultural attributes we have, and the 4th one was adding value. So these are the 4 that we see, and we want each member of our core team to imbibe and live. So the awards is just not something that we want to give, but we are expecting each of our core team members to understand what this is and to live it. And this is something which is very, very important to all of us as a team, all of us at the management level, that each of our members, as and when they come in, imbibe what it is. Okay, so more of it Prasenjit will talk. I invite Prasenjit to take over and please talk more about the awards.
Thank you, Ishita. Hi everybody once again. Now we come to the serious part, but I'll try not to make it very serious. But I'm going to cover a few things, and before we get into the awards, now that I have your attention, I want to touch upon a very important aspect of our company, and especially for people who have joined in the last few years would have heard about it, but I wanted to say something from my side about the most important aspect of our company, which is the cultural attribute. So now that I have your attention, I'm going to take a few minutes highlighting a few points so that you understand what this is all about. Can we have the screen up, please? Can you see the screen? Can everybody see it? Well, I guess everybody's on mute, but I'm taking it that you can see it.
Yes, Prasenjit.
All right. Now, before we move on to the awards, I wanted to highlight to you all that this is the basis on which we operate. And I'm sure some of you would have heard that ultimately for a company or a family or a nation or an individual, culture is everything. So what are the key aspects of our culture that we would like to propagate are these four. Now I want to explain a little bit about each one of them to emphasize on the key aspects of all of these. For us, humility, it's the three aspects which are there: respect for others, self-awareness, and transparency. But fundamentally, humility is all about being completely transparent, completely having high integrity, and not necessarily being subjugated to others. Humility is often understood as something or somebody who will always say yes to everybody. Humility means as if you're incapable of doing anything, you're completely humble. No, that's not the case. Humility is all about being transparent, but holding your stance, and at the same time, have the strength of having the integrity for yourself and respecting others' views. All of this is all about humility. The second one is quality orientation. Now, quality orientation is not about just having a quality. If you get the job done, many people can get the job done, but then how do you differentiate from each other's job? The difference is in what we call the quality aspect of that job, which is the standard of, everybody appears for exams, but different people get marks. So similarly, everybody can do a similar job, but each one have their own standard. And quality orientation is about the detail that you put in the work that you do. Learning. Next important thing about learning, everybody learns, whether you like it or not. Subconsciously or consciously you learn. But the most important thing is about learning is how much you unlearn. How open are you to say what I have learned before is not applicable now it is something new that I need to learn. Ability to change is all about learning. And finally, autonomy. Autonomy is what we often say is the freedom to do the way you would like to do things. But however, it's very important to note that freedom does not come without any limit. Freedom has to be accountable. So whenever you use we would like to see you use your freedom all the time, but make sure that you are prepared to be asked any questions on what you do with your freedom. If you are accountable for your freedom, that is the true freedom. Oftentimes we misunderstand freedom as freedom where people don't ask you any questions. That's not freedom. Freedom is the courage to have the freedom with accountability. Now, this is the key aspects that I wanted to highlight about the cultural attributes, okay? And I'm sure you will have more sessions on these as we go ahead over a period of time. So moving on, now let's move on to the award ceremony. Can we move on to the next screen, please? Okay, now we come to the most important part of our evening. Now, before we get into the details of the awards and the award winners, I like to highlight and give you a little brief of how this whole process of selecting of winners happened. Now, thanks to most of you all, I wouldn't say all, but most of you all, for participating in giving your nomination for the awards. So I'm happy to note that we have 4 awards, and we've received almost 30 nominations for all these awards. Now, some awards, the nominations were much more, and some awards not so much. But obviously, like any other year, it has been challenging for us as an HILT meeting at a team to decide who the real award winner should be. Now, what we did was clearly, so we took the self-nominations and the manager supervisor's nominations, and we rated. Each one of us rated one of them, all of them, and then we compared our ratings, and whenever there were any close numbers, we actually had qualitative discussions. And then, even if the qualitative discussions did not lead to any conclusion, we had some voting. Now, that's normally the way we go about. And in most of the cases, you should know that I don't have a veto. In this election of winners, I don't have a veto. It is the team that decides. So we have finally, it has taken us some time to arrive on the winners, but we have arrived at the winners, and I think we are now ready to start announcing the winners from each of these categories. Okay, so can we move on to the next screen, please? The award categories. Customer satisfaction. Okay, what is customer satisfaction all about? Now, this is one of those categories where I think being part of the core team and customer or internal customers is something, an orientation which is very much ingrained in us. We've received the highest number of nominations. We received about 4 supervisor nominations and 6 self-nominations. So, and obviously it was not easy for us to rate and then arrive on the winner, but we did. I mean, we have to, right? We have to do a job here. So,
I need to barge in here. Can we please have everyone turn on their screens? Please put on your screens. Don't keep them off, please. Yeah, Prasanjit, please.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ishita.
Sorry. Yeah.
I can't see the screens on my screen. So, but one of the things that stood out, one of the things that we considered in customer satisfaction, arriving at the winner for the customer satisfaction, I want to highlight about this. Now, most people in generally believe customer satisfaction is all about pleasing customers, making the person happy and pleased, those that we serve. You know that the Gandhian philosophy, the customer is God. Oftentimes, I would always say the customer is God, but use your discretion that everybody is not God. All right. So therefore, customer satisfaction is about providing service to people, but not necessarily with the approach of pleasing people. It is not blindly agreeing with people. It is delivering what you're promising to deliver, but not necessarily subjugating to them. All right. Number one. Number two, about customer satisfaction, oftentimes we are very, I would say, amiable to what the customer's demands are. We often don't take a stance, and often we agree with the customer but don't take it forward. So for customer satisfaction, very important thing is not about promising things to the customer or doing what you're supposed to do, but making sure that everything is delivered. It's responding with customers with an outcome. That's another key aspect about customer satisfaction. And perhaps the most important thing about customer satisfaction is not allowing customers to even come back with a complaint. So it's being proactive rather than reactive. Now, we looked at all these nominations that we've had. Given the kind of people we looked at the sustainability of the quality of the work that people have done. We've looked at customer feedback in the customer satisfaction rating survey that we've done. We've looked at the amount of errors people have made. We've looked at how much the person has been more proactive rather than reactive. And end of the day, we also looked at whether the person was trying to satisfy the boss or satisfy the customers. All right. So we've seen situations where people would do very good stuff, but only under the instruction of the boss and not necessarily with their own initiative. So all of this put together, the person that we finally selected, and let me highlight a few things on this, is just a sec. Yeah, so this person not only had got a fantastic feedback from our customer satisfaction survey, but we have seen that this person is eager to figure out anybody is having a problem even before the person realizes the person has a problem. Oftentimes, there have been problems where the person has anticipated may have happened with others and had gone and resolved it even before the other people got to know about it. Now, another thing about this person is he's not only dealt with a certain group of people as customers, for him the whole organization was a customer. And he has equally gelled and delivered on each of these groups, irrespective. So the scale of which the person has had an impact was also a criteria for us to decide. So it was not easy, but finally we decided that one person straight away stands apart from the rest of the group to get this particular award. And the award, I'm very happy to announce, the person who wins this award is Bhavani. Congratulations. Bhavani, can I request you to say a few words? I know maybe you may not have been anticipating this, but you want to share a few words with everybody.
First of all, thanks for Prasenjit. Your words means a lot. I'm happy, and that's all.
Okay.
That's it. Like, I'm so happy. That's all. But your words means a lot. Like, that's all. I'm a little emotional. Sorry.
Yay. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
It up. Well, the next award, adding value. I want to highlight a few things about adding value. What is about adding value? Now, everybody does a job. And while they do their job, and every stage and every step, they would put in their thoughts. They would try to do that as best as they can. Now, so to that extent, everybody adds value. But for us, adding value is going beyond what your job definition is. If you are expected to do something of a certain standard, for a certain output in your job, that is not adding value. All right? So doing your job well is not adding value. Adding value is about taking the definition of your job or output that you need to give to a completely different level, which even the company or your supervisor may not have even thought of. That's what we call adding value. Now, whether it's in the process level, whether it's in the concept level, whether it's in a completely new initiative, whether it's a new idea, whether it's even delivering on customer satisfaction, whatever. But adding value means literally taking what you're doing or what you're supposed to do at a completely different level. Now, that's one aspect about adding value. The second most important about adding value is that the idea of that added value must come from your own. So in this award, we also received a lot of self-nomination. And we received quite a few supervisor nominations. So we actually received about 9 nominations here, which is quite a lot. But in most of the cases, a lot of people have highlighted that they've done a lot of things, but either it is based on what they already knew, what they've done before, or what they have done is based on what they have been asked to do, what the supervisors may have guided them to do, or they have been put on a project that was necessary at that point in time. Now, except for one person that we have seen that whenever the person is given a brief about a task to be done, not only has that person taken the brief, understood the brief, but most of the time has redefined the brief, thinking about what is the purpose of that project or the task or the work, and redefined the objective considering what the business circumstances and the company circumstances is, and came back to the supervisor to bounce it off, and constantly kept on adding value with his or her own idea, which even the supervisors or the company did not even imagine. Now, this one person has been doing that constantly in all the things that has been done. And for that, the work that the person had to do became very complex. If it was to be done based on the brief, it could have been done simply. But because the person realized that it has to be done in a particular way to add a certain more value to the whole work and the objective, the task became complex. And even then, the person went ahead and did all of that and came back with results which were substantially higher than we ever actually thought about as a supervisor, as a team. And so we are extremely thankful to that individual for last year's contribution, and that the winner, the award for the last year's contribution goes to Swapnil. Congratulations. Well done, Swapnil. I don't know whether you're surprised
I was on mute.
or shocked,
Yeah,
but would you like to share a few thoughts right now?
sure. I was not expecting this coming. Thanks a lot for this award. And one more thing is this recognition itself is an award for me. So I will keep doing it. And thanks a lot for your support. Thank you.
Well, congratulations again. And I'm sure you will keep up the same spirit which you have been doing so far.
Sure.
Okay, next category, please. You know, the next category is about mistakes, learning, and application. Now, I'm sure all of y'all, and especially for the new ones, I would like to re-emphasize that this is perhaps the only company which makes and asks people formally, officially, to go ahead and make mistakes. Okay, no other company will verbally, officially say that. Now, because fundamentally, I believe that you cannot learn anything substantive unless you make mistakes. There is no easy learning. And I have done these tests with so many people so many times that if I were to ask you that 2 things that you learn, you know and remember in your life, 2 lessons in your life, and everybody will, if they have to put down two lessons of their life, you will realize the 2 lessons that you know that comes on top of your mind are perhaps the 2 disasters that you may have done in your life or happened in your life. You may not have done it or happened in your life. Now, typically the learning and development comes only through pain, and mistakes is one of them. So being afraid of mistakes will not lead to a learning organization. So if you really want to learn, you need to make mistakes. Okay? And sometimes nowadays there's a concept that has come, and it's a big learning platform in our digital valley in US, and it's called planned or designed mistakes. All right, so organizations actually design and plan to make mistakes so that they can learn faster and the learning is captured. So unfortunately, while this is one of the most important categories as far as I'm concerned, the number of people who have given nominations are not too many. There were only 4 nominations. So at the same time, so it kind of indicates that not many people have understood or has been comfortable in accepting that they can make mistakes, or they are not open to the idea that you can openly discuss about your mistakes. Perhaps given the background of various people, they still believe if you highlight something, that at some point in time your supervisor will highlight it or the management will highlight it. So you'll be caught in the wrong phase. Let me tell you, that is not the case. People who have done well in our environment, and all of the high performers in an environment will vouch for it, that it is those mistakes that they have done and the support they have got under the circumstances that has made them do well. So going forward, I'm hoping that we will hear of more mistakes and get more nominations in the next year in this particular category. So looking at all the mistakes, a lot of time I realized that in the nominations, the mistakes that we have, the highlights that were given were largely circumstantial, not somebody who would take the initiative to put an idea in place, even with the risk of making a mistake. Oftentimes mistakes happen, but there are very few people who, knowing that there is a risk, something may go wrong, still go ahead and do it. Now those are very few people. And in my case, in this particular case, we've got one nomination that stood out very clearly as far as that is concerned. And there were specific instances, examples of demonstrating that the person decided to do something by design and then realized that was a big mistake and went back and rectified him or herself. All right. So the winner of this particular category for last year is congratulations, Ajay. Surprise?
Thank you,
Not
Mr.
surprise. Want to say
No, I'm not surprised because I know I have done many mistakes, but yeah, every time there was a learning out of the mistakes. So I joined Alma as a fresher. So I did many mistakes, but every time I had, back of my manager with me earlier, Pratyusha, when she was managing me, and later on Sabita. So, but their experience has added lots of things. And yeah, these days also I'm doing mistakes, but yeah, I try to learn from those mistakes and not to repeat them again.
wonderful. Keep keep making mistakes. Next time I'll start counting the number of mistakes you make and give you an award on that.
Sure, Prasenjit.
Only one condition, don't make the same mistake again and again.
Yeah,
Congratulations, well done.
thank you.
Keep being transparent. Shall we move on to the next category, please? Okay, we come to the last category. It's called the LCA, Living the Cultural Attributes. As you can understand, the fact that we give so much importance to culture, anybody who represents and a winner of this category stands out in many ways in our environment. Now, again, in this category, there were not too many nominations. Like in the previous one, we had 4 nominations. 1 supervisor nomination and 3 self-nominations. Now, again, so it's very important for everybody to know that living the cultural attributes is a very important aspect of, it's not fitting into the environment, but it is also representing whether you're doing your work in the right way. Work can be done by many people in many ways, all right? But there are few people who can do it in a way that is sustainable and supportable in the long run. So again, I'm hoping, now very important thing about living the cultural attributes. A lot of people say that, look, I have integrity, I am transparent, I am quality sensitive, I get into the detail, I am open to learning, and I like to have the freedom. So you have all the attributes in myself. And obviously, I can assure you the fact that you're in the team, all of these 4 attributes are in you in some strength or intensity or the other. If one is absent, I can guarantee you will not be in this team. That's part of our selection process. So all of you have these attributes, some of higher intensity, some not so higher, but of a minimum intensity, definitely. But all that, if as to be able to win this award, it's not about demonstrating the cultural attributes. You also have to be an ambassador of those cultural attributes. You have to be able to represent those attributes to people and circumstances and situations that you see do not fit in to those cultural attributes. It's very important to be able to take a stance bravely, with a lot of courage and openly, and safeguard the cultural attributes for the company. And it's not for the highlighting yourself or something. It's about for the interest of the company. So in many cases, we have seen a lot of people who have demonstrated living the cultural attributes, but there was one person who actually stood out in the last 1 year, who have reinforced the cultural attributes more than anybody else. Perhaps the individual also learned them for the first time, and realized that the cultural attributes is making the person deal with the circumstances perhaps in a much better way, and has therefore demonstrated the strength to take the stance and give people feedback to be able to safeguard the cultural attributes. And the winner of this category for last year is Pratyusha. I don't know whether you're surprised. I know you have been a little nervous in many occasions in the last year, but I think you demonstrated pretty well in believing in the cultural attributes. So do you want to say a few words?
Sure, Prasenjit. It feels nice to feel to be acknowledged for your values, and especially when you're at home and when you're with your parents, because most of it, I believe, would have come down from them. So yeah, so I'm very happy, that I'm acknowledged for it. Yeah.
Most of the time, your parents would have been saying that you don't listen to them.
Yeah, they're laughing. Yeah.
But you're on the right path. So keep it up. Keep strengthening the attributes and the values that you have. And I'm sure you will keep on strengthening them as we go ahead. Right?
Yes, Prasenjit. Thanks a lot for acknowledging.
So that brings us to the end of our award ceremony. And I think from here on, I will have to give it back. I just want to only have the last thing that I need to see. I may not be coming back in the speaker box after this, but before we get into the next stage, we have a very important part of our program next. I want to acknowledge a lot of people's contribution to make this event happen. So far, it's been happening. It's gone on pretty well, smoothly, as far as from my perspective. And I would like to really thank and acknowledge the contributions and the efforts of a lot of people that has gone into making this whole program and arrangement smooth as it is. And it's not been easy. I know people have been working on this for weeks, from an ideation stage to whatnot. So first thing I want to get, I have a list of people that I need to thank. First of all, Ganesh, for helping out in all the negotiations that you've been involved in. Thanks a lot for being there.
Thanks.
All right. The next, I want to thank Anasua and Sunil for being a huge contribution and help in all the branding and the visual work. Thanks for contributing and helping the team out. The next people I want to thank are Bhavani and Pratik. Pratik is not in this, but even then we can convey our thanks to him. Bhavani, thanks for helping out in all the IT related matters, without which it would be.
Thank you, Prasenjit. Thanks a lot.
I also want to thank, as you can see, how's this whole layout that you see, the screen and the background? Well, while we are sitting at home, it still looks like a stage. It's a small stage, but it still has a feel of a stage. I want to thank the support and the effort of the Zero Design Studios. Okay, the people who have been in that firm helping us to do all of that. And I also want to thank for a person who's going to come in next. I hope I have not been too late in my whole thing. Okay, so that is a person who will, I'm reasonably sure that he will not disappoint you in any way. Is a guy called Neil who will take you through a musical journey and experience, again on Digital Forum. And amongst all of these, I want to finally thank the two people who have put the program together, Pratyusha and Alan. Without which even this event could not have happened. So I know Pratyusha and Alan would have lost a little bit of hair during this whole process, but it's worth it. It was all worth it.
Yeah, most definitely. Yes.
And
Prasenjit, if I could just also add, Deepa also had done quite a bit, assisting Pratyusha with mailers and all. So
thanks a lot, Deepa. Thanks for putting in the word, Anuswa, and thanks, Deepa. Thanks a lot for putting into your effort into this also. Great. And in all of this, I want to thank one person who has been consistently, persistently following up on all the things that is happening and progressing well, and putting in the 2 words and interventions, and raising up the temperature, sometimes cooling down the temperatures of people, and all of this. The person behind all of this and the guidance, Ishita. Thank you very much for all your support. Okay, now we've gone through all these thank you notes. I think I will hand it over to the organizers for the next event. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all the winners for last year, and keep up your contributions as we go ahead.